Mary Jo and Marty and the girls 100 years ago. A little less. I lived in Ohio for a long time, and somebody invited my wife and I out to work in Sisseton. They said, well, you have to come out here and see the place and be around the place. You can't just accept the job because it's kind of isolated. But you know, we lived in the city most of our lives. Okay. So we came out and went to work at that's where Marty ended up working. And we'd been working there for a while when we met Marty and Mary Jo at a conference in Sioux Falls, no, in Rapid, someplace, one of those towns, and became instant friends. It was like instant friends. You couldn't get away from it. You had to be a friend. And they moved to Sisseton and they bought that ratty old house. That ratty old house, and she called me and said, the plumbing's bad. I didn't know about plumbing. So I went out and we soldered. And she worked and she worked and she worked and she said, we need to tear the roof off and put a roof on. So we tearing the roof off. And tearing the roof off, and it was, what do you call them, leaf bees up into the shingles. Every time you turn off, bees was flying out. And Lacey got stung and never said a word, got down off the roof, went up in her room, and sat in her room and cried. And who was the guy who was there? Was one of her? Todd. No. Jumped off the roof when he heard bees.
Oh.
He said,
Chris.
I'm allergic. He jumped off the roof.
Oh, Chris. Yeah.
And we tore it off and put the roof on the house and left the shingles hanging over the side. Never cut the shingles. I don't think they ever cut them, did they? It was one of those things. I didn't get up on the ladder to do it, and she wasn't going to get up. Down to the house felt very strange. You know, it was an old house, and people had partied in it. And I need help, Gene. Something's wrong. You have to come out here and chase whatever spirits are away. And so we went out, and her and I said, I'm not going to do this for you. You have to do this yourself. I will show you the direction, but you have to do this yourself. And we cleaned out the negativity from her house. So she could live there and the kids could live there. And afterwards the house was better. And when Chunko Luther got sick, this is a wonderful story. She called me and said, horse has got a cut and it's going to get sick. You need to come out and help me deep-breed this horse. And I said, fine. So we went out, we hobbled the horse, laid down, hobbled the horse. And she's back here with the hobble. I said, now I'm going to sit on the horse's neck and I'm going to deep-breed the horse and don't let loose of those hobbles. She said, okay. And I'm there and the horse is going, hey, you know, because I'm cutting it. And she stepped forward and the horse got up. And I went underneath of the horse and, you know, the horse kicked around a little bit and ran out in the field and I got up and she said, oh, you're bleeding from your face. And I said, really? Yeah. She said, I said, give me some water. I could drink water, just ran out my lip because I'd bit all the way through. The horse had kicked me in the face.
Oh my God.
And then I said, wow, I'm kind of woozy. I think I was on both living room and I got a little woozy. And I called my wife and she was at the Tecker with it. Said, what happened? I said, oh, the horse kicked me. She said, where? I said, in the face. And she's like, and where are you at? I'm home. You didn't go to the hospital? Well, no. And so she drove home, 6 miles home, and she walked in the house and she said, where? She went like this and my hair just turned up like that.
Oh, no.
And she went, oh my God, we have to go to the hospital. So we rushed down to the hospital. And in the hospital, and G.D. Kehoe was the doctor, and she said, what happened this time, Gene? I said, what do you mean? And she said, what happened? I said, I had a fight with a horse and it won. And she said, well, what do you want me to do first? And I said, I don't know. So she picked my hair and said, oh my God. So she took a pair of scissors and started trimming. And I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm cutting the jagged edges off. And she sewed my head up, and then she took a stapler and started stapling my head. What are you doing? I'm stapling your head so it'll stay down. And I'm like, do you think it's going to stay on? She said, if I don't, you'll be bald. What do you want me to do now? And she sewed my mouth up. She said, anything else? I showed her my hands. She panned the example. I said, what else? I don't know. Picked my shirt up. I had 2 perfect horse pins right there.
Oh my gosh.
She said, wow, it really did win, didn't it? So I called Mary Jo and said, wow, I was scalped and kicked in the face, and she said, "Don't worry, you'll be good. You'll be all right." And I was. But that horse died. In the wintertime, the horse died, and she wouldn't let go. She sat and she cried, and she cried, and she would not believe anybody that horse was dead. Call Gene. He can call that horse back. I came out and she sat with her horse's head in her lap and said, "Hey, when you push on him, steam comes out." I said, "Because he's warm inside. The horse is gone." And that's the kind of stuff Mary Jo called me for. You know, when she had problems, she talked to me. I was the guy that whenever she didn't know what to do or she was hurting, she called me. And I tried to be there for her. But the last year and a half, I didn't talk to her very much. And now I'm sorry. I would have loved to have been able to, but I'm not going to blame myself because I know where she's at, she's happy. But she talks to me. And it's green, and it's sunny. So if there's grass, there's got to be horses. And she's laughing, but she's not old anymore. She don't have white hair. She has this, it's kind of, reddish brown hair, and she's young.
Yep.
And that's how I see her now. And I never knew her that way. That's how I see her.
That's
so
awesome.
for me, she's always going to be young. She's always going to be, Gene, I need a hand. Can you help me put to a roof? Can you help me do this? How do I cut this? How do you fix this? Always. And just be there for her. You know, and I have for you. She's only just a thought away. So talk to her. Because if you listen really carefully, you can hear her.
Yeah.
You know, in a Dakota way, they say, if you want to know what's going on, listen to the wind. And I never believed that till I came to South Dakota. And I lived 6 miles out of town and I heard people talking. And there was nobody within 6 miles of me, but I could hear them from the wind. So when you want to hear her, talk to her. She'll talk back. But you have to listen. Thanks.
Thank you.